Right. Well, we're in luck today. Mr. Wu got in touch with the owner of this Toyo View technical camera, 4x5 with a Schneider lens. So he's gonna talk a little bit about it. And I know it's a very complex machine, as you can see. It looks like. So we'll have Mr. Wu go over it. He's got the magic touch with these type of cameras. All right. So what do we got, Mr. Wu?
Okay, so here we got a Toyo View monorail 4x5 large format camera. Now this is not everybody's cup of tea. In the old days, you are into serious photography, architecture, commercial, advertising, scientific, medical. You will need this type of camera. This type of camera is different not only because of the large film that it uses, but this camera, it has all the movements that you need. So before I go into the movement, let me go through the different parts of the camera bit by bit. So of course every camera have a lens. So the lens is mounted on this plate. We call it the lens board. And the good thing about 4x5 camera is that even though the brands are different, many of the parts are interchangeable. They have a universal platform. So you take off the lens board. So this is the lens. And because of the large aperture, the focal length of the lens correspondingly become longer. So a 150 mm lens on this camera has the same angle of view as a 50 mm on a 35 mm camera. So and also the aperture are not that big like 1.4 f2. This one is 5.6 if I'm not wrong. Yeah, 5.6. But the 5.6 on a 4x5, the kind of bokeh you get is close to a 51.4. So large format lenses, if you want to get the bokeh effect, you don't need a very big aperture. Okay, so this is the lens board. So the plate in front is called the front standard. So where the lens is mounted is called the front standard. Now at the back, the rear is the rear standard. Now because of this camera is quite heavy, it's not convenient to tilt the whole camera for a horizontal and portrait picture. So what they do is they have a rotating back. So you just rotate the back. You rotate the back. You rotate the back so you can have vertical and portrait, landscape and portrait. So that's how you rotate. So it holds the film holder. So in order to view the image, you got to set a lever to open up the lens. See, open up the lens. So the shutter opens up, remains open. The aperture, you put it full, and you put up the hood, and you can see the image. So you focus to render the image sharp. So you focus this way. So you got the front standard and the rear standard. And this one is a hood to block off the light. But if you want to see detail, you can swing it out. You can swing it out. Then you can take a magnifying glass and focus on the particular part of the image. Now you see the marking. This big area is the 4x5 format. When I say 4x5, it's 4x5 inches. Somehow for large format camera, the inch measurement stuck to it. So we got 4x5, 5x7, 8x10. Of course, there is a cm equivalent. Cm equivalent will be 9x16. But nobody call it a 9x16 camera. We call it a 4x5. So, but if you want to take roll film, medium format roll film, you put in a roll film holder. You take this out, but the focusing area is marked for you. So the bigger marking is 6x9, get 8 shots, 8 shots to a roll. The smaller marking is 6x7, 10 shots to a roll. So you frame here, and just before you take the picture, you remove this back. You remove this back, and then you put the roll film holder. Since the camera did not move, everything is in the same position. Then you take the picture. But if you are just using sheet film 4x5, this one stays in. It stays in, there's a spring back here. And this is a roll film holder. I'm not sure if got film inside, so I don't want to open it. But this film holder is a double sheet film holder. So there are 2 sheets of film, one at the front, one at the back. So when you slide it in, you're supposed to pull out the dark slide. That time you already closed down the lens and cocked the shutter. So you pull out the dark slide to expose the film, and then you use the good old-fashioned light meter, take the reading. So you set the shutter speed, aperture, then with the cable release, you make your exposure, click. Then after that, you put back the dark slide. You want to take another shot, you pull this out and flip it over and take another shot. So you insert this roll film holder at the gate here with spring loader, you just push in, then you are in position. So this is for 4x5. So we got the front standard and the front standard and rear standard. The focusing movement can be both front and rear. Yeah, you can move the front, but it's best to do the focusing at the back. This is just to position the bellow to fit the lens, and the actual focusing is at the back. The reason for it is when I turn the front, I'm changing 2 distance. I'm changing the lens to subject distance and also the lens to the film distance. I'm changing 2 things. So what I do is I fix this one in front. I only move the back. I only change the film to lens distance. Make it more easy and precise to focus. All right. So, but now, if we were to take a building on the ground, the usual way is to point the camera. You stand on the ground and point the camera up in the sky. That happens, the top of the building will be smaller because it's further away. The base of the building is nearer, so it appears larger. So your building looks like going to lean down, fall down. So on this type of camera, we can make that correction. So we got the shift, tilt and shift. We shift it up, rise. This is the rising. So when you can rise it up, the film remains parallel to the building, the lens remains parallel, but you just shift this up, you can actually change the converging into parallel. Now that is only possible when the image circle of the lens is bigger than the film that you are recording. So all the large format lenses, they have a very big image circle, bigger than the film itself. So they can move up and down, sideways, and there's no blackout. So you can do the shift in the front. Likewise, at the back is a similar movement. The shift can be done, or you can do it simultaneously. So that is the shift. Now, sometimes you are asked to take a picture of a painting, very expensive painting, and the painting is already mounted with a glass. And you cannot take out the painting from the glass, you will destroy it. So if you just take the camera and point at the painting like this, center, what happens is that the glass here will reflect the image of the camera. So actually the camera is taking a picture of itself. So you see the camera in the image. So for that, there is another movement here, what we call the shift, the sliding out. You can shift to the left or the right. This is the center, you can shift. You can shift both sides, front and back. At the back, you have the similar. Yeah. So at the back, you can shift. So if you shift it this way, that means the object is here, but you shift the camera this way. So now you actually position your camera away at the angle, away from the object, away from the glass. But because of the shift, the lens will still record the image as though it was in the center. So now you got a picture of the painting with the glass without the image of the camera. So that's one application. Then there is also the swing. They have other movement. So this is shift, we put it back. Then you got swing like this. You can swing like that. You can skew. You can skew the barrel, front and back. You can skew it. You can skew it sideways, and you can also skew it up and down. Loosen this. You can skew it this way. So this one I explained before in the Rolleiflex. So if you skew you see, the film plane, the lens plane, and the subject plane, and if you draw a line and they intersect and they meet at one point, when you have this setting, when you take a picture of an object, you can render the front and the back equally sharp even though wide open. So that is, there was a German term, Schirmflug principle or something, after the person who discovered this method. So you can do that. So view camera, the main purpose for the view camera is to be able to use all this movement to your advantage. Not that you need to use it all the time, but when you need to, it's there. Now this is not available on a 35mm camera nor on a medium format. Hasselblad make a version of that. They call it the arc body and the flex body, but they only move either the back or the front only. The closest is actually a Rollei. Rollei medium format, they have a XACT. It's actually a mini version of this. The front and the back both also can move. Very rare. If I can find one, I will do a show on that. Now I only can find pictures of that. So you got this. So you got the shutter is usually leaf shutter. So you close back the shutter, you cock the shutter, and then you make your exposure. The shutter is in the lens, so you can sync at all speed up to 500, no problem. And there's a nipple for you to put the flash. So it's heavy, so most of the time, these cameras are mounted on a tripod. You need a good, sturdy tripod. So 4x5 camera. So the Kodak book that I had shown before, they also show you a summary of the different type of movement and the effect that you can get. Then of course there are many variations of this type. This is called a technical camera on a monorail camera. It's all clamped on a tube, a monorail. Then there are some other variation, either wood or metal, it depends on the application. So you got some early one, some current one. So they have the early version, they were rigid. Now not much movement. These are good for copying flat paperwork, document, artwork, okay. Then they make one like this with some bellows. These are long bellows. In fact, some they have, this is a triple extension bellow. That means for normal shooting, you only use this rail. But if you want to do close-up, you move it up, move it out. They're triple extension. So without attachment, just by itself, with the proper lens, you can do a lot of close-up. Then they have some like this type. is different type. This is a different wooden type. Then okay. Then they have show how they do the revolving back. The camera moving up. This one, same idea, but they use this as an enlarger using daylight. So this is a wall with a hole and a mirror. So they take the light from outside and then they project the image and they make the enlargement. So in fact, the old studio were like that. They always on a high rise, and the ceiling got some glass panel, and you can open it up so the light will come through, and then you take picture. No need studio light, but only for daytime. Then you have this type. Yeah, different version. They make a wood, make a metal. This one it got cluster of 4 lenses for making the ID photo. So one click, you got 4 images. This one for rapid fire, they preload many of this film mag, and it's under a spring load. It's like a pump gun. The bullets are all preload, so you pull, the bullet come in, pull, the bullet come in. So this one, the closest one is the one make exposure. Once you make the exposure, you push, pull, this one get out of the way, the next one come in. Either they drop to the bottom or something like that. So you can take a picture in rapid succession. Then of course you have the lenses and you got the long rail. Now for some wide angle shot, the lens, wide angle, the bellow is too long. You need to be very close. So what they have is they have special bellow. They call it the balloon bellow. So so that the front and the back is very close. So they show some of the application, how you use it. So very technical camera. They used to make catalogs of how the parts are taken apart, selling product. So it's a serious camera. But I mean, if you like to dabble with this, it's very good. Your friends with a small camera, within a few seconds they have taken 100 shots, and you take an hour to set it up and wait for the right moment of the light, the sun to pass through the cloud. And if they miss, then you just pack the whole thing and forget it, because the lighting not good. So I got a friend who is a master in this kind of work. So he will set it up, take an hour or so. But then if finally the light is not good, he just close, forget about it. Then maybe next day. But nice camera, it slow you down. I think Ansel Adams used this. All the great photographers have used this. So today, not many have used. So you can actually pick this type of camera quite at a relatively low price. And this specimen is quite good, almost like new, everything all working. But this is a Japanese one. The other European one will be the Lenhof, the Sina, the Aka Swiss, and those will cost 2 arms and 2 legs.
Wow, amazing. Wow, thank you very much, Mr.
Of course,
Wu.
there are some adaptation you can do. In fact, recently what they have done is they make a plate. So they make a plate. Actually, my customer have ordered the plate. It hasn't come yet. So he has ordered a plate that allow him to take out the film bag. And he got a plate that can mount his Hasselblad 907 body. So he has the digital bag at the back with his lens in front. So he can actually use it on his digital bag.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mr. Wu.
Welcome.
Wow, the guys back home in the U.S. they'll really like this. Maybe our German audience will really appreciate this.
You will notice that the image on the screen is all inverted. It's upside down and left and right reverse. So let me put the image. You can take a look. Let's see. Open up the lens. Let's try to focus on the object. Yeah, focus. Focus. Yeah, focus. Yeah, you can see everything is upside down and left, right, reverse. Then you need a cloth to put over to shade off the light to have a good view.
Wow, that is cool. Okay, Mr. Wu, thank you very
Welcome,
much.
welcome.
We hope you guys enjoy this and learn a lot. So make sure you watch this and save it, because you never know when you might want to get into this. But it sure is a lot of fun. Okay, thank you, Mr. Wu.
Welcome.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.